Welcome back to my weekly comics. I'm gonna get started with Action Comics number 998. I fell behind on this series quite a bit. I did with a couple DC titles, not titles that I'm gonna drop per se. It's just there's so much comics coming out right now that it's hard to keep up with the reading on a weekly basis. But I'll talk about catching up a little bit later on on one of the other comics that I show. Right, this is Batman number 41. This is the start of a new arc with Poison Ivy. To be honest, I'm hit and miss with Tom King. I'm not a huge lover of him, but especially of his work. I do like his solo series, like when he did Vision, his Mr. Miracle. But for some reason, I don't really think he has the voice of Batman down, and everything's just getting really repetitive in this storyline. So I'm going to stick with it, but at the same time, I would like to see someone else new come into it. All right. Now, the best Batman book that's being produced right now is Detective Comics. This is 975. The arc right before this was a Clayface arc that I really enjoyed. If you didn't pick up the annual, you probably should, because it's a retelling of basically the story that was in the Batman the Animated Series. I think it was called Fate of Clay, the animated series episode. But I really love that. I'm liking what James Tynion is doing with Detective Comics, and I think he has the characters' voices down really, really, really good, where it makes it feel like a classic Batman book. Now, a book I completely basically gave up on. I was reading this week, and literally during it, I was so lost that I basically said, I'm done. I can't I don't even know if I want to reread it. But this is a pretty funny cover. It's like a old Wheaties cover. I just don't know why this felt so big for me. But I definitely am not going to continue with Doom Patrol. This was my chance to try to read it once again, but it's just not for me. Flash 41. I still haven't read this one this week. This is one of the ones that I'm only a issue behind. The Grog story was really, really good, but I just need to finish reading this one. Now, a cover that everyone probably picked up this week was the Mira number 1, and this is an Art Germ. To be honest, I would say the A cover is just as good as this one. I just happened to not pick it up. But it is kind of nice to see that Mara is doing her own series. Still need to read it, find out if it's good, and if I'll continue with it. Now, one of my favorite comics from this week was the Terrifics. I'm a huge Jeff Lemire fan. Sometimes he is on point. I hope this time around with the titles that he is planning to write, that he has a little bit more creative freedom, for the simple fact that I think that's what made him leave in the first place. So when Jeff Lemire has full reign of everything, his comics really are probably some of the best. But really like the Terrifics. Now, if someone could help me out with this, I thought I read somewhere that this was going to be a first appearance of a character. I haven't been reading Green Lanterns, but I picked these up just because I guess you could say I'm a first appearance lover. So, and this was supposed to be a first appearance of, let me see. So there's a couple of them, and we'll open up the last one to check and see what the first appearance may be. I don't know her name, I still have to read this, but I believe it's going to be the first appearance of that character. Not 100% sure. If someone's reading this, you can let me know in the description box, or I meant actually the comment box, and let me know if it is her first appearance in this. But I ended up picking up a couple of those. They were still on the stand. So I stopped reading Spawn a long time ago, but I still occasionally do pick up some great covers. I think this is a Francis Mantina cover. I ended up getting the color one, and then also the black and white. So, and if Todd McFarlane's back on writing, I may jump back into it and start reading it. But I would love to see. I think I left this title when Capullo left to DC, but I'd love to see both of those come back, or I would really love for Capullo to come back and start drawing again, but I think he's doing too much great work at DC at this time. Another one of the only Image titles that I'm getting is Royal City. Still continuing with this. It's a really good. So that was the only Image title that I got for this week. I ended up picking up this Young Guns Black Panther variant by Marco Checchetto. Really like the Virgin cover. I think I'm going to continue getting them. I think next week's is going to be an Amazing Spider-Man, so looking forward to that. Alright. I picked this up for it being the 300th issue of Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man. That's the A cover, and then, of course, this is the B cover, the Scotty Young. And I'm not a huge Scotty Young fan, but for some reason, I always loved his Spider-Man. Okay, and for the last title from Marvel that I ended up getting was this Thanos 16, and I got multiple copies of this just for the simple fact that this is going to be the origin story of Cosmic Ghost Rider. Really good issue, and you kind of get to see Thanos just rip loose on the Marvel Universe. Mm-hmm. So definitely worth picking up 3 copies of that. Okay, and for the very last few things that I ended up picking up, I was searching in my local comic shop's back room, and I ended up getting this Incredible Hulk, and I mostly got this for the Del Keown. This isn't the 3rd print, but either way, I'm a huge fan of Del Keown. I've always loved his work on Pitt and everything else. Another cover I got for just the artist was this Annihilation Ronin, and this is Del Auto, so I didn't have that in my collection. And then I couldn't pass up this Brian Bolland Wonder Woman 0. I don't really have any. I think this is my second Wonder Woman Bolland cover, so it's nice to add one more to the collection, and I know my wife loves it. Mm-hmm. But that's gonna be it for this week. Really short one, just a highlight of what came out. But thank you for watching. Subscribe, and for the very last thing, hand me that. No. Yes, the white paper. Okay. And for the very last thing is I still am running my 100 sub contest, and I have only 3 people on there so far. I got Mr. Rigor Mortis, I got Matilda Gothica, and then 64 Page Special. Thank you for everyone that has entered the contest, and looking forward to more entries. So if you haven't watched that video yet, I'll link it in the description box so that you could just view it, or if you just forgot about it, then you could watch it again. I don't know. Anyways, guys, have a good one. I'll see you next time.